For those that are new to the cybersecurity field, you probably never heard of MITRE. Those of us that have been around might only associate MITRE with CVEs, Common Vulnerabilities and Exposures, list, which is one resource you'll probably check when searching for an exploit for a given vulnerability. But MITRE researches in many areas, outside of cybersecurity, for the safety, stability, and well-being of our nation. These areas include artificial intelligence, health informatics, space security, to name a few. From MITRE.org, at MITRE, we solve problems for a safer world. Through our federally funded R&D centers and public-private partnerships, we work across government to tackle challenges to the safety, stability, and well-being of our nation. In this room, we will focus on other projects/research that the US-based nonprofit MITRE Corporation has created for the cybersecurity community, specifically, ATT and CK registered trademark symbol, adversarial tactics, techniques, and common knowledge, framework CAR, Cyber Analytics Repository, Knowledge Base Engage, sorry, not a fancy acronym, D3 FEND, Detection, Denial, and Disruption Framework Empowering Network Defense, AP, ATT and CK Emulation Plans. Let's dive in, shall we? Room updated, the 1st of July, 2022. Before diving in, let's briefly discuss a few terms that you will often hear when dealing with the framework, threat intelligence, etc. APT is an acronym for Advanced Persistent Threat. This can be considered a team/group, threat group, or even country, nation-state group, that engages in long-term attacks against organizations and /or countries. The term advanced can be misleading as it will tend to cause us to believe that each APT group all have some superweapon, e.i. a zero-day exploit, that they use. That is not the case. As we will see a bit later, the techniques these APT groups use are quite common and can be detected with the right implementations in place. You can view FireEye's current list of APT groups here. TTP is an acronym for tactics, techniques, and procedures, but what does each of these terms mean? The tactic is the adversary's goal or objective. The technique is how the adversary achieves the goal or objective. The procedure is how the technique is executed. If that is not that clear now, don't worry. Hopefully, as you progress through each section, TTPs will make more sense. What is the ATT and CK registered trademark symbol framework? According to the website, MITRE ATT and CK registered trademark symbol is a globally accessible knowledge base of adversary tactics and techniques based on real-world observations. In 2013, MITRE began to address the need to record and document common TTPs, tactics, techniques, and procedures, that APT, Advanced Persistent Threat, groups used against enterprise Windows networks. This started with an internal project known as FMX, Fort Meade Experiment. Within this project, selected security professionals were tasked to emulate adversarial TTPs against a network, and data was collected from the attacks on this network. The gathered data helped construct the beginning pieces of what we know today as the ATT and CK registered trademark symbol framework. The ATT and CK registered trademark symbol framework has grown and expanded throughout the years. One notable expansion was that the framework focused solely on the Windows platform but has expanded to cover other platforms, such as macOS and Linux. The framework is heavily contributed to by many sources, such as security researchers and threat intelligence reports. Note this is not only a tool for blue teamers. The tool is also useful for red teamers. If you haven't done so, navigate to the ATT and CK registered trademark symbol website. Direct your attention to the bottom of the page to view the ATT and CK registered trademark symbol matrix for enterprise. Across the top of the matrix, there are 14 categories. Each category contains the techniques an adversary could use to perform the tactic. The categories cover the 7-stage cyber attack life cycle. Credit Lockheed Martin for the cyber kill chain. To get a better understanding of this technique and its associated sub-techniques, click on phishing. We have been directed to a page dedicated to the technique known as phishing and all related information regarding the technique, such as a brief description, procedure examples, and mitigations. Lastly, the same data can be viewed via the MITRE ATT and CK registered trademark symbol navigator. The ATT and CK registered trademark symbol navigator is designed to provide basic navigation and annotation of ATT and CK registered trademark symbol matrices, something that people are already doing today in tools like Excel. We've designed it to be simple and generic. You can use the navigator to visualize your defensive coverage, your red/blue team planning, the frequency of detected techniques, or anything else you want to do. You can access the navigator view when visiting a group or tool page. The ATT and CK registered trademark symbol navigator layers button will be available. Let's get acquainted with this tool. Click here to view the ATT and CK registered trademark symbol navigator for Carbonac. At the top left, there are three sets of controls: selection controls, layer controls, and technique controls. I encourage you to inspect each of the options under each control to get familiar with them. The question mark at the far right will provide additional information regarding the navigator. To summarize, we can use the ATT and CK matrix to map a threat group to their tactics and techniques. There are various methods the search can be initiated. The questions below will help you become more familiar with the ATT and CK registered trademark symbol. It is recommended to start answering the questions from the phishing page. Note that this link is for version 8 of the ATT and CK matrix. Based on the information for the first group, what are their associated groups? What software is associated with this group that lists phishing as a technique? What is the description for this software? Cyber Analytics Repository. The official definition of CAR is the MITRE Cyber Analytics Repository. CAR is a knowledge base of analytics developed by MITRE based on the MITRE ATT and CK registered trademark symbol adversary model. CAR defines a data model that is leveraged in its pseudocode representations but also includes implementations directly targeted at specific tools, for example, Splunk, EQL, in its analytics. With respect to coverage, CAR is focused on providing a set of validated and well-explained analytics, in particular with regards to their operating theory and rationale. Instead of further attempting to explain what CAR is, let's dive in. With our newly acquired knowledge from the previous section, we should feel comfortable and understand the information that CAR is providing to us. Let's begin our journey by reviewing CAR 2020-09-001, Scheduled Task, File Access. Upon visiting the page, we're given a brief description of the analytic and references to ATT and CK, technique, subtechnique, and tactic. We're also provided with pseudocode and a query on how to search for this specific analytic within Splunk. A pseudocode is a plain, human-readable way to describe a set of instructions or algorithms that a program or system will perform. The techniques highlighted in purple are the analytics currently in CAR. Let's look at another analytic to see a different implementation. CAR 2014-11-004, Remote PowerShell Sessions. Under Implementations, a pseudocode is provided and an EQL version of the pseudocode. EQL, pronounced as equal, and it's an acronym for Event Query Language. EQL can be utilized to query, parse, and organize Sysmon event data. You can read more about this here. In order to gain persistence, privilege escalation, or remote execution, an adversary may use the Windows Task Scheduler to schedule a command to be run at a specified time, date, and even host. Task Scheduler stores tasks as files in two locations, C:\Windows\tasks, legacy, or C:\Windows\system32\tasks. Accordingly, this analytic looks for the creation of task files in these two locations. We're also provided with pseudocode and a query on how to search for this specific analytic within Splunk. A pseudocode is a plain, human-readable way to describe a set of instructions or algorithms that a program or system will perform. Note the reference to Sysmon. If you're not familiar with Sysmon, check out the Sysmon room. To take full advantage of CAR, we can view the full analytic list or the CAR ATT and CK registered trademark symbol navigator layer to view all the analytics. Full analytic list. Since the answer can be found above, I won't post it here, but you can follow along to see how to find it. Starting in the first paragraph of the task, you will be able to find the answer. It is located in the official definition of CAR. Once you find it, highlight and copy, Ctrl and C, or type the answer into the TryHackMe answer field, then click Submit.
Hello and welcome to Security. These questions. How many phases does the AP3 emulation plan consist of?
What is up, guys? Welcome to Brain Tactics. So, customized version of PM. This is definitely a good thing to have in your arsenal. Or a query on how to search for this date and even hoax, in particular with regards to their operating theory and rationale. Instead of further attempting to explain what CAR is, let's dive in. With our newly acquired knowledge from the previous section, we should feel comfortable and understand the information that CAR is providing to us. Let's begin our journey by reviewing CAR 2020-0901 scheduled task file access. So let's look at what that looks like. Let's try that open and open that in another video. All right, so upon visiting this page, we're given a brief description of the analytics and references to attack, technique, subtechniques, and tactics. So we see the tech. So we have the technique, the subtechnique, and we have tactics. So let's look at what this essentially is. So in order to gain persistence, privilege escalation, or remote execution, an adversary may use Windows Task Scheduler to schedule a command to be run at a specified time, date, and even host. Task Scheduler stores tasks as files in two locations. See Windows Task Legacy or see Windows System 32 tasks. Accordingly, this analytics looks for the creation of task files in these two locations. So I guess when they mentioned that this tool can be implemented directly with like Splunk, you can use this like as I believe a detection mechanism for this particular activity from an attacker. So we're also provided with pseudocode and a query on how to search for this specific let's see, we also provided with pseudocode and a query on how to search for this specific analytics tool within Splunk. A pseudocode is a plain human-readable way to describe a set of instructions or algorithms that a program or system will perform. So let's look at that pseudocode and see what it looks like. So if we look at implementations, we see pseudocode for Windows task file creation, and we have this Splunk. Okay, this is a pseudocode, and then this is the Splunk search. So I'm pretty confident that if you're doing some sort of like, I believe like threat hunting, you can easily use a query like this to try to find this particular activity in your environment, or you can actually make this query like a form of detection at the back end that would alert you if you have anything that occurs with the specific values of this query. So this is definitely a good thing to have in your arsenal or your detection mechanism. All right, so note the reference to Sysmon. We have not covered Sysmon as of yet, but you can read more about this tool here. To take full advantage of CAR, we can view the full analytics list or the CAR attack navigator layer to view all the analytics. So let's look at the full analytics as well as the attack navigator layer. All right, awesome. So let's look at the full analytics first of all. So here we see the analytics table, and in the analytics view, we can see what implementations are available for any given analytic at a single glance, along with the OS platform it applies to. So we can see here for all of these different ones we see. We have the pseudocode is available for this one, DNIF logpoint pseudocode for different operating systems. You can see Splunk here, you can see logpoint here, Splunk, more Splunk, and different Windows operating system. So the techniques, let's look at the CAR attack navigator. So the techniques highlighted in blue are the analytics currently in CAR. So let's look at another analytics to see a different implementation. So this is for the CAR attack. Let's see what it looks like for remote PowerShell sessions. So for remote PowerShell sessions, under implementations, pseudocode is provided and an EQL version of the pseudocode. EQL is pronounced equal. So an equal version of the pseudocode and its acronym for, oh, one second. Under implementations, pseudocode is provided in an equal version of the pseudocode. Equal is pronounced equal, and it's an acronym for event query language. Okay, so equal can be utilized to query, parse, and organize system event data. You can read more about this here. Let's open that up. I will definitely be reading more about that. All right, so let's look at the equal EQL, or the equal right here. So we see the equal native for this particular remote PowerShell sessions. So to summarize, CAR is a great place for finding analytics that takes us further than the mitigation and detection summaries in the attack framework. This tool is not a replacement for attack, but an added resource. All right, so for the above analytic, what is a pseudocode? What is the pseudocode a representation of? So for the above analytics, what is the pseudocode a representation of? So this is a representation of, let's look at a hint and see what it has. CAR 2020. Okay, I'm looking at a different one. CAR 2020 09001. So let's look at, okay, this one. So what is the pseudocode a representation of? The representation of, it's a representation of a Splunk search, I believe. So let's try that. All right, there we go. So the pseudocode is a representation of a Splunk search, as we can see.
What is the name of the technique for running executables with the same hash and different names? What is the name of the technique for running executables with the same hash and different names? Examine CAR 2013-05-004. Besides implementations, what additional information is provided to analysts to ensure coverage for this technique?